Bring in show music, please.
Hi, I'm CNBC producer Katie Kramer. Today on Squawk Pod. Democratic corporate leaders speaking up for Kamala Harris, but her potential tax plans and former President Trump's have a tough road in the venture capital community. Startup investor Ben Narasin joins us.
I'm not saying I'm a Trump fan. I'm going to vote the same independent way I've always voted.
Which is how, by the way?
Oh, I just write in Bloomberg because of the last two elections I've been so disgusted by our choices.
And Katie Ledecky, the most decorated female Olympian in the U.S., still eyeing the competition.
I don't see myself going to 2032, but 2028 is definitely going to be a goal.
She says the key to her success, just add water.
I do not like lakes or oceans. I stay away from open water.
Plus, the rest of today's stories that got us squawking, chipping off semiconductor prices, Berkshire's bank sales, and a new start for a favorite mall brand.
You have not been to a Red Lobster in 20 years.
Oh, easily you're wrong.
It's Friday, finally, September 6th. Squawk Pod begins right now.
Stand Becky by in 3, 2, 1. Cue it, please.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Squawk Box right here on CNBC. We're live from the NASDAQ market site in Times Square. I'm Becky Quick, along with Joe Kernan and Andrew Ross Sorkin. It's a Friday. It's a very important Friday with the jobs number and a Fed meeting looming in just a little later this month.
The markets and the Fed have been eagerly awaiting today, the first Friday of the month, the Jobs Friday, the report from the Labor Department. Absolutely everyone is expecting the central bank to begin cutting interest rates at its next meeting after that steady increase to a two-decade high. Now, if the economy added fewer jobs than expected in the month of August, the Federal Reserve might have interpreted that weakness as a signal to adjust the size of the rate cut. A strong report might have meant the opposite, or maybe don't even cut at all. So the results? 142,000 jobs were added to the American economy in August.
Not great, but nothing's falling off a cliff either, which may have been the whisper number and the worry among some.
Not strong, but maybe not weak enough to justify a go-nuts rate cut this month. So, we wait? Well, let's get back to Joe, Becky, and Andrew.
Some of the info about the chip stocks. The Biden administration is rolling out some new export controls on critical technologies, including quantum computing and advanced chip-making tools, also high bandwidth chips. The new rules come as China makes advances in the global chips industry. The Commerce Department released the rules early this morning for a 60-day public comment period. They restrict worldwide exports of those products for national security and foreign policy reasons, although there will be exemptions for countries that add similar controls, as Japan and the Netherlands have done in the past. And then Broadcom shares are lower. The chip maker's current quarter guidance coming in slightly below estimates, similar to NVIDIA and what that company said last week. But this company's raising its outlook for AI revenue to about $12 billion for the fiscal year, up from $11 billion previously. Third quarter sales and earnings also beat analyst estimates. And we're going to show you chip stocks are down across the board right now, except Intel, DC being dead cap bouncing from the low 19s back to 1945. I would argue that every Friday is important.
Because it's the weekend?
Because it's Friday.
Everybody's working for the weekend. And we're watching shares of Berkshire Hathaway actually snapping a 9-session winning streak yesterday. Also, some new disclosures late last night show that the firm sold a new tranche of Bank of America stock worth $760 million since Tuesday. That brings Berkshire's total sales in the bank to nearly $7 billion since July. It used to be the second largest holding. I think it's fallen to the third largest holding as a result of those sales. It is the last bank that remains in Berkshire's portfolio. Had a number of banks, and over the last several years, Berkshire sold off all of those stakes. If it gets below 10%, which is very near at this point, then Berkshire would not have to report on such a timely basis. I think right now, because they own more than 10%, they have to report every 3 days when they do any sales of this. So people are watching that pretty closely, too.
Now an update on the controversial deal for Nippon Steel, the Japanese company to buy U.S. steel. The CEO of rival steel producer Cleveland-Cliffs said he supports the Biden administration's efforts to block the deal. He said his company would be open to acquiring assets from its rival should the deal fall through. He said U.S. Steel's threats of plant closures should not deter the government's action.
We are committed, and we have a commitment with the USW to invest in the assets that we are going to acquire, particularly if the CEO of US Steel makes good on his shameless attempt to blackmail the President of the United States and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania with the shutting down Mon Valley and shutting down the office in Pittsburgh.
Just for context, U.S. Steel earlier rejected Cleveland-Cliffs' $54 share buyout offer in favor of Nippon's.
Meantime, a bankruptcy court now approving Red Lobster's plan to exit Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. This is part of the restructuring plan. A group of investors are going to be acquiring the restaurant chain by the end of the month. Now, after the acquisition closes, the investors will replace the current CEO with a former CEO of P.F. Chang's. Red Lobster currently operates 544 restaurants across the U.S. and Canada. And I like Red Lobster, and I like P.F.
You do? You haven't been there. I don't believe you. When's the last time you've been to? You haven't been to Red Lobster in 20 years.
Right, right across the street back this way. I'm sorry.
When I was in India.
You have not been to a Red Lobster in 20 years.
Oh, easily you're wrong.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Easily you're wrong.
I haven't been to one in so long.
Easily you're
probably
wrong.
been to
You're
one
not
before.
going to some
I don't know if it's still here, but no.
Daniel Boulud lobster place?
No.
Come on.
We're on 41st here.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 43rd.
43rd. All
right.
41st.
You ever been to an Olive Garden?
7th.
Don't lie to me. You ever been to an Olive Garden?
I have, and I've got a story to tell about.
I was in an Olive Garden in February on the road in
Seriously?
Cleveland, driving back from Indiana. We stopped and we ate it.
Okay, I take it all back. I take it all. What did you get? What do you get at? You get lobster?
At Olive Garden, my story?
No. Oh, yeah. Okay. I want to hear
I was
that.
a young man, and it was the first and probably only time I was hit on by a waitress. And I will always remember that she put her number on the back of the bill.
Andrew, my first date was at
Just
Olive
saying.
Garden.
That's cool.
You asked for a story. That's my story.
Let me ask you.
Let's
Let me
say you
ask
have a
you.
long.
Did you use that number?
I did not.
Why not? Would you say there was a mutual sort of?
No, it happened to be. This is too low.
Wait.
We got to go back.
Well, how long
We have a
ago was this?
This is a long time ago.
It affected you.
This is a long time ago.
It affected you deeply because it was so unusual.
It's such an
It was so
unusual situation. Trust me, it was unusual.
Now, she wasn't like 70, was she? Not that there's anything wrong with that. Why didn't you call her?
Tease will be next.
Anyway,
Why didn't you call her?
there's still more to come on Squawk Pod, like Silicon Valley's take on the candidates for president. Venture capitalist Ben Narasin weighs in.
The price controls thing is crazy. I mean, I didn't realize I'd moved to Cuba.
It's all crazy.
But if that's where I am, then I guess I'll smoke more cigars.
But the other candidates, not so perfect either.
I met Trump once when I lived in New York City, and I had an immediate allergic reaction.
How he's voting and why, right after this. We're back. This is Squawk Pod.
3, 2, 1, up and Andrew.
You're watching Squawk Box on CNBC. I'm Andrew Ross Sorkin, along with Joe Kernan and Becky Quick. The business community is reacting to economic plans from the presidential campaigns. Megan Cassella joins us now with more. Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. So a group of 88 current and former CEOs from across the private sector are out with a letter this morning laying out their support for Harris, saying that she would be the best candidate for business. Now, this is a wide-ranging group. It includes Facebook co-founder Dustin Moskovitz and former Pepsi CEO Indra Nooyi, as well as the current CEOs of Box and Yelp. That's Aaron Levy and Jeremy Stoppelman. James Murdoch is on this list. He's a Democratic donor, but not someone who had previously endorsed Harris. And so is Chris Larson. He co-founded the crypto firm Ripple. Now, the list also includes some with ties to Wall Street. That includes Tony James, former president of Blackstone, and a substantial number of former public company CEOs. That's Dan Schulman of PayPal and Alan Mulally of Ford, someone who was once considered to be Secretary of State under Trump. Now, their letter highlights Harris's election as, quote, the best way to support the continued strength, security, and reliability of our democracy and economy. And it goes on to say that with Harris, quote, the business community can be confident it will have a president who wants American industries to thrive. People involved in coordinating this letter tell me it was organized by some of Harris's top Wall Street backers. That's Blair Efron and Roger Altman among them. And it comes as she's tacking somewhat toward the middle this week, including with that softer capital gains tax proposal, softer than Biden's. Both she and Trump pitch themselves as best for business, and Trump has significant CEO-level support as well, including some heavyweights like Elon Musk and Howard Lutnick. But still, this is a show of force from a group of business leaders coming together to throw their weight behind Harris.
A venture capitalist, Mark Cuban, calling into the broadcast yesterday with his take on the latest details of Harris's tax plan.
She said that, billionaires should pay more than, the average working people, firefighters, et cetera. And if you just look at the numbers, right, if a firefighter or someone who's working their butt off is making, $150,000 a year, they're paying 24%. And she came out yesterday and said 28% for capital gains, which when I talked to them, I thought was fair.
The Harris campaign, as he says, listening when designing the plan, but not every venture capitalist agrees on this benefit. Join us right now with a different take on the tax proposals from Harris and Donald Trump. Is Ben Narasin. He is he founded Tenacity Venture Capital after his time at New Enterprise Associates. Good morning to you.
Thanks for having me.
So you're on the other side of this.
I mean, I'm not strongly on the other side. I think both of our parties are doing a terrible job. But I'm particularly scared with a lot of the Democratic proposals around not just capital gains, but the idea that you would tax unrealized capital gains.
Right.
That would be crushing, is likely going to be struck down, so I don't know if it's even worth the conversation. But this is all just pablum for the proletariat. This is just like throwing stuff out on how we're going to soak the rich to make people that aren't yet rich feel better. And they're going to crush. If they pass these, on the one hand, she says, hey, we're going to take your ability to deduct startup business expenses from $5K to $50K.
Right.
Thank you very much. But then if you ever make any money, we're going to take it all back from you, even if you haven't been paid. Like, imagine that you start a business, you raise some money, now your business is worth more, and you have to pay on that? With what?
Let me ask you a question. Where do you land? We've talked a lot on this broadcast, including with Ro Khanna, you probably saw, of this idea that the best approach may very well not be, and I think I'm in agreement here, clearly, with taxing unrealized gains. I think it creates all sorts of complications. There are lots of people, though, that have had great success that effectively take loans against those unrealized shares and never pay taxes on them, or are able to push out the tax bill for a considerable amount of time.
Sure.
You think that's fair?
Buy, borrow, and die. I mean, it's a reality we live in. I know this is a total sort of.
But I guess my question to you is, would you say that piece of it needs to be fixed?
I don't know how you can, because you punish other people. It's like we have free speech that allows people to say hateful things, and as long as they don't cross the line, they get to do it. But that means we all get to have free speech. If you start to crush people of wealth for certain practices, then you crush everybody else for the same thing. Why? How would you fix that?
Well, here the distinction on that front is that most people, literally 99% of the American public, can't do that. Right? They can't afford to do that. It's impossible. So they're in a different. It's like a whole different universe. It's a different world. So when you say, it would crush everybody. First of all, it wouldn't crush everybody, but the other piece is, it wouldn't even affect everybody.
My issue is always the same. I don't have a strong confidence that we can understand the unintended consequences. So when we pass legislation to continue to, I was fascinated by this new whatever it is, the efficiency council that Trump wants to pull off. Seems like a great idea. I'm not saying I'm a Trump fan. I'm going to vote the same independent way I've always voted.
But if you were to just look at policies.
Which is how, by the way?
Oh, I just write in Bloomberg, because the last two elections I've been so disgusted about choices, I'm disgusted now.
If you were to vote, let's say Trump was not a mean tweeter and, didn't know Stormy Daniels. It just purely based on policies, is there anyone in the right mind that is pro-business that would come down. We found 88 guys. I mean, half of them you can find them every 4 years.
What do you say? What do you do
You can
about
find
Goldman
the same
Sachs?
four. You can find, Goldman Sachs was. Do you know what it's based on?
The liberal bastion that is Goldman Sachs.
It was based on not closing the border, and it was based on not deporting the 13 million aliens. If you think that that's worth it in terms of a couple of points in GDP, that's fine. A lot of people think it costs money not to allow illegal. Okay, so I would rather. If it's a half point less GDP, fine. Shut the southern border, deport all these people that came in illegal. The other thing,
that's like a policy choice about.
It's not at all what it is. Goldman, and who knows with Goldman?
Fine,
immigration. But if you're going to say GDP,
if you take it as you either take it as an economic issue or you don't. Either then we could be talking about abortion.
You want to leave the southern border open?
I don't want to leave the southern border open, but I want to find a way to get. But I'd like to find a way to get more of those people into the system in a legal way.
GDP will be hurt if you don't. If you do.
Well, the question is there a way to do it in a different way? And
what's the difference? Well, both parties have done the same thing. I mean, everybody gave Trump a hard time for his policies on the border, and then they all continue. But nobody gives them a hard time.
But just in general, they raising capital gains, raising corporate tax rate, doing unrealized gains, price controls. No business leader in their right mind except 88 outliers that we can find for a story believes that.
Well, the price controls thing is crazy. I mean, I didn't realize I'd moved to Cuba.
It's all crazy.
But if that's where I am, then I guess I'll smoke more cigars. It's just insane. You can't, businesses are highly logical, functioning organizations that have to compete with other businesses. Prices aren't controlled by the fact that the U.S. government tells us what we can charge for corn or hamburger meat. They're controlled by the fact that you're in a competitive market. Whole Foods is worried about Trader Joe's. Whole Foods will match prices from Trader Joe's if you ask them to, because Trader Joe's prices are significantly higher. And that's a pretty elite grocery store, right?
Some of the smartest people in the world that went to great risk, personal risk, like Bill Ackman and Elon Musk and Joe Lonsdale, some of the smartest guys in the world are willing to go out and know that they're going to get all this backlash for supporting a rapist insurrectionist, because it's so clear that the policies aren't even close. And if you, as a person that understands business and understands the economy, I think it's shameful.
What do you say to the people who say, look, rule of law should be the game? No.
Like lawfare, like calling Facebook and saying don't put the laptop in any of your articles,
like the rule of law, like what happened on January 6th.
Giving a speech and then they go.
Yes, you want to defend it? Go for it. Go to defend January 6th and call me.
That's all you got?
Would you like to? I mean, would you?
You got that in Russian collusion.
But we have a country that's allowed to elect its president on a popular vote. I mean, I get that we have a system that's slightly off from that. And as I said, not supporting either candidate, but we will get the candidate the people want. And that is going to be the law of the
litigated
land. That's life.
And the people, they don't have to go hide after they vote for Trump. They don't have to go in shame and hide for voting for an insurrectionist.
It is amazing. In California, like when Trump was elected the first time, I know one guy that admitted he voted for Trump. It doesn't matter how you vote in California, let's face it. So my write-in vote is just my tiny little protest because it is irrelevant. I could vote however I want. It will not impact a thing.
But if you had to vote then?
I will still write in Bloomberg. I wish he was more effective as a speaker to common people and he could have been elected. I think Romney could have done a great job. Romney's probably the only honest politician I've ever seen. These people, by and large, are lying.
That's what I would say. Like what I've seen with people laying out their plans, with the two candidates laying out their plans this time, it is offering more and more money to try and buy your vote.
It's just pandering. It's ridiculous. Everything Biden did, pandering, which got ruled illegal. Right. Oh, let me throw a couple $1 trillion to student loans. Why would I want to do that? Oh, wait, there's a lot of votes there.
Right.
But look, even Reagan sort of gave citizenship to a lot of Mexican Americans and got a lot of that support. So it's happened across both parties. It will always happen. It's a pathetic pandering. It is sad, but it is. Look, our system sucks, but it's still the best in the world. So we live here.
And this is our counter to the pro-Harris people. A guy who's still not voting, for Trump, but it's preceded by 88 CEOs. It's beautiful.
Look, if I had to, I would. I met Trump once when I lived in New York City, and I had an immediate allergic reaction. But I would argue that there's probably enough good people with good policies that it's more likely I would swing that direction if someone put a gun to my head and said you have to choose one of these two candidates. But it makes my skin crawl how bad the situation is.
As good as it's going to get for the MAGA crowd.
Ben, thank you.
Nice to see you on this network.
Next on Squawk Pod, the United States' most decorated female Olympian, the toast of Paris, Katie Ledecky. Is she going for one more swim?
Is LA going to be your finale?
I don't know.
Welcome back to Squawk Pod, where we are still celebrating the 2024 Paris Olympics.
Katie Ledecky is the most decorated female American Olympian in any sport. At the Paris Olympics, she won 4 medals, including 2 gold. It was her 4th straight Olympic Games, winning gold for the 800-meter freestyle. In the summer, she published a memoir about her life titled Just Add Water. I sat down with her earlier this week in New York City and asked her about what it was like in Paris that made these Olympic Games so special. I had the privilege of getting to see you live and in person, and all I want to know the whole time is what is going on in your head. What are you thinking?
It varies race to race. I think you were there for the 1500, right?
So it's long.
So
I'm thinking, what is she thinking about during this whole period?
The 1500, I was very focused on just holding my pace. So every 50 trying to hold the exact same time. I wasn't trying to speed up too early or too late or anything like that. And actually during that race, I was thinking a lot about my teammates back in Florida. I was kind of saying their names over and over in my head.
Like a mantra.
Yeah, just repeating their names, thinking of all of them. And that reminded me of all the practices I had done and how ready I was.
Do you hear the audience screaming for you?
Sometimes. You can't really distinguish words or anything very clear, but you can hear if it's louder or quieter.
And do you have a clue of where everybody else is and where you stand? You
yes.
know?
Yes.
When do you know? Is it at the turn you know?
I can see when I breathe. So pretty much right from the start, I have a good idea of where everyone is in the race. And then usually when I'm turning, I can see someone if I turn toward them.
What do you think it was about Paris this time that made it so different and so special?
I think they did an amazing job of placing the venues near iconic places in Paris, and it was just right in the city, and I think there was just a lot of excitement around that.
Did you feel that though?
I did. We had a full arena every single swimming session, or it felt like that at least. Usually at these kinds of meets, sometimes there'll be an empty section during prelims. Not even during prelims. It felt like it was sold out every single session, which was amazing.
What do you do with all the gold medals?
You know, I keep them close for these first few months when everyone wants to see them.
Where do you put them?
I put them away.
I
don't look at them for a few years.
But not on shelves or something?
No.
Like in a drawer?
Yeah,
maybe a safe?
Locked away.
Maybe a safe somewhere?
Somewhere, can't tell you. Can't tell the world.
When all of this happens, there's all this attention on you. And do you deal with that attention do you have like a way of dealing with the attention? Do you like the attention? Do you hate the attention? And does it shift for you? Because a lot of athletes talk about sort of when the Olympics are over, what that feels like.
I mean, I'm feeling pretty good right now. I enjoy doing exciting things. I enjoy coming to New York, seeing people, going to events. So I love interacting with people. I love meeting new people through this. I would never have imagined that swimming would get me to this point and give me the opportunities that I have. So I try to take advantage of those opportunities, and I love it.
Most starstruck moment for you?
I don't know. I got to go to the USA basketball party in Paris and met a lot of the women's and men's team there, and a lot of other people were at that party. So over the past month, that was probably one of the standouts.
I think Elmo and Cookie Monster.
That was a real highlight of my time in Paris. I grew up looking up to them, and just to have that moment to share a cookie with Cookie Monster, gold medal moment.
What do you think about the Olympic movement? It feels like this is supercharged. This Paris experience is supercharged the entire thing in terms of television ratings, in terms of just interest broadly. LA is coming up, obviously, for the next Summer Olympics, but you have in between that Milan, after that Brisbane and the French Alps.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think, hopefully LA will put on a great games. I think there's a lot of excitement about Paris, just coming back to the United States, hearing how many people watched it, and hearing all the stories of where people were when they were watching, and how many their kids were watching and enjoying the swimming competition or other sports. It's always really fun to hear those stories.
Is LA going to be your finale?
I don't know. I don't know if I can call that my finale yet. I would love to make it to LA and compete there. But you asked me in 4 years, and who knows what I'll say. I might say I want to go another year or two. I don't see myself going to 2032, but 2028 is definitely going to be a goal. And when I get back into training sometime these next few months, I'll start setting the course, setting the plan for how I'm going to get there.
You haven't been in the pool that much.
I've been in the pool 4 times in the past month since my last race, but not for probably more than 30 minutes.
Do you ever just jump into a pool and hang out in the pool the way most of us plebes do?
Yeah. So I mean, my mom goes to a water aerobics class in Maryland at our summer league pool. So there were a few mornings a couple weeks ago that I accompanied her to water aerobics class, and I splashed around in the water and swam a few laps. But I enjoyed the music.
But never in a lake or ocean. You don't like lakes or oceans?
I do not like lakes or oceans. I stay away from open water.
As a rule.
Yes.
Tell me about this book. Did you enjoy writing this book?
I did. My memoir, Just Add Water, came out in June. And I think what's been fun about this experience has been hearing the stories from people of how much they enjoyed reading it, or a certain part of the story that, of my story that resonated with them, or how I wrote it. So I'm proud of it. I'm happy that I could kind of summarize some of what's happened in my life, and in a way be able to thank a lot of the people that have supported me along the journey through the book, because a lot of the chapters are dedicated to those people that have helped me along this journey.
Katie Ledecky's memoir, Just Add Water, My Swimming Life, is on sale now. And I will say, by the way, separately from all of that, she wears an Oura ring. You're always telling me about scores, and we were talking, I wear an Oura ring, we talk about it on the show all the time, and you always ask me what my score is, right?
What was it?
Well, today it's terrible. I went to the US Open last night. But the HRV, your heart rate variability, which for me, at my best, is in the 20s or 30s.
Yeah.
She's over 200. So for anybody who wears an Oura ring and looks at their HRV, I promise you will be like, oh my God, this is kind of an unbelievable.
So it's good to have heart rate variability?
Yes, you want very high heart rate variability.
Why?
It means you're very calm.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, it's about sort of your, it's a balance thing about
That's
sort of
not
how your heart
surprising
works.
with an Olympic athlete,
Unbelievable.
right?
No, but I thought the thing was broken. I mean,
Does she wear it in the pool?
Yours is bad.
Doesn't wear it in the pool. No.
Yours is really bad.
Terrible.
Were you wearing that ring when that waitress gave you your phone number?
I think that was before Aura was
so
in
it didn't
business.
go, woo, woo, woo. Like,
You're very
happen.
fascinated with this
You're
story.
very fascinated with this story. For those who missed it in the
Missed it
last
at 6
hour.
a.m.
We'll do it again. Yeah.
You're incumbent to be here on time because it never happened to me. That's why. And if it happened to him,
I get it,
there's
you're
something
jealous.
wrong with me. There's something very, very wrong with me.
Internalize that for the rest of the show. Keep going.
And that is Squawk Pod for today, this Friday, and for the week. Squawk Box is hosted by Joe Kernan, Becky Quick, and Andrew Ross Sorkin. Tune in weekday mornings on CNBC at 6 Eastern. Get the best of our show in an easy-to-listen-to podcast when you follow Squawk Pod wherever you listen to podcasts. Tune in anytime you want. If you like what you hear, or if you don't, that's okay too. Let us know. Rate Squawk Pod or write a brief review on Apple Podcasts. It takes a few seconds, but it may help another listener find us. That's it. We'll meet you right back here on Monday. Have a great weekend.
We are clear. Thanks, guys.